Hypatia of Alexandria was an extraordinary philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer who lived in ancient Alexandria, Egypt. Born around 360 in the Common Era, Hypatia was one of the most famous female intellectuals of the ancient world. She was the daughter of Theon of Alexandria, a renowned mathematician and philosopher. Hypatia's life and work symbolize the intellectual legacy of Hellenistic Alexandria, a center of knowledge and learning during the late antiquity period. Hypatia's brilliance and tragic death at the hands of a violent mob made her a symbol of both the rise of religious intolerance and the decline of classical knowledge. Early life and education. Hypatia's early life is largely shrouded in mystery, but it is known that her father, Theon, provided her with an exceptional education. Theon, who was a scholar at the famed Library of Alexandria, taught Hypatia mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy. By the time Hypatia reached adulthood, she had become one of the leading intellectuals in the city, surpassing even her father in terms of knowledge and prestige. Some sources suggest that Hypatia traveled to Athens to further her education, although this is speculative. Her father's tutelage laid the foundation for her future career as a teacher and scholar. Philosophical and mathematical contributions. As a philosopher, Hypatia belonged to the Neoplatonic school of thought, which sought to synthesize the ideas of Plato with religious and mystical elements. Her teachings focused on a wide range of subjects, including ethics, metaphysics, and the nature of the cosmos. Hypatia's philosophical teachings attracted many students from all over the Mediterranean world, and she became the head of the Neoplatonic school in Alexandria. In mathematics, Hypatia is credited with contributing to several important works. She is thought to have edited and possibly written commentaries on Diophantus's Arithmetica and Apollonius of Perga's work on conic sections. Hypatia also made advancements in understanding the mathematics of the day, contributing to the preservation and dissemination of Greek mathematical knowledge. Some scholars suggest that she collaborated with her father on a commentary of Ptolemy's Almagest, a critical work on astronomy. Teaching and influence. Hypatia's influence was not limited to her academic achievements. She was a revered teacher who attracted a large number of students. Among her students were both Christians and pagans, which was significant during a time of religious conflict. Hypatia's classroom was a gathering place for students seeking knowledge in philosophy, mathematics, and science. She conducted public lectures that drew large audiences, and she was known for her eloquence and wisdom. Her most famous pupil, Synesius of Cyrene, would later become a bishop and wrote letters praising Hypatia for her intellect and mentorship. Hypatia's teachings emphasized the pursuit of knowledge and reason, which was seen as a challenge to the growing religious orthodoxy in Alexandria. Her high standing in Alexandrian society, along with her close ties to prominent political figures, made her a target for religious extremists. Hypatia's influence extended to political circles as well, where she became involved in the political conflicts of the time. Religious and political context. The 4th and 5th centuries in Alexandria were marked by religious and political tensions between Christians and pagans. As Christianity gained influence, it clashed with the traditional pagan culture of the city. By the late 4th century, the Christian bishop of Alexandria, Theophilus, had begun to suppress paganism and destroy temples dedicated to the old gods. Following Theophilus's death in 412, his nephew Cyril became the new bishop of Alexandria. Cyril was a zealous and powerful figure, determined to strengthen the authority of the Christian church and eliminate pagan influence from the city. Hypatia, as a prominent pagan intellectual, found herself at odds with Cyril's growing influence. She had close associations with Orestes, the Roman prefect of Alexandria, who was engaged in a power struggle with Cyril. Although Hypatia did not participate in political affairs directly, her association with Orestes and her position as a leading intellectual made her a symbol of opposition to Cyril's authority. This tension ultimately contributed to her downfall. The murder of Hypatia. Hypatia's tragic death in March of 415 has been the subject of much debate and speculation. Accounts of her murder differ, but it is generally agreed that Hypatia was targeted because of her association with Orestes and her perceived opposition to Cyril. According to the historian Socrates Scholasticus, a group of Christian zealots, led by a lector named Peter, dragged Hypatia from her chariot while she was traveling through the streets of Alexandria. She was brutally murdered, her body mutilated, and her remains burned. Hypatia's death marked a turning point in the history of Alexandria, symbolizing the end of the city's intellectual and cultural flourishing. Her murder was condemned by some Christian writers, including Socrates Scholasticus, who viewed her death as a great tragedy and a consequence of religious fanaticism. However, Cyril's role in her death has remained a contentious issue. While some accounts suggest that Cyril may have orchestrated the murder, others argue that he had no direct involvement but failed to prevent the violence. In either case, Hypatia's death was a result of the growing religious intolerance in Alexandria during the early 5th century. Legacy and symbolism. Hypatia's legacy has endured for centuries. In the centuries following her death, she became a symbol of learning, reason, and tolerance. During the Enlightenment, she was celebrated as a martyr of science and reason, a victim of religious dogma. Hypatia's life and tragic death have inspired countless works of art, literature, and philosophy. In the modern era, Hypatia is often regarded as a feminist icon, representing the struggle for women's intellectual and social freedom. Despite the destruction of most of her writings, Hypatia's influence can still be felt through the works she helped to preserve and through the students she inspired. Her role in preserving and advancing Greek mathematics and philosophy during a time of intellectual decline in the Roman Empire was crucial in maintaining the legacy of classical learning. Today, Hypatia is remembered as one of the greatest intellectuals of the ancient world and a tragic figure whose life was cut short by violence and intolerance. Hypatia of Alexandria's life and work stand as a testament to the intellectual achievements of ancient Alexandria. As a philosopher, mathematician, and teacher, she contributed significantly to the preservation and dissemination of classical knowledge. Her dedication to the pursuit of reason and understanding made her an admired figure among her peers, but it also put her at odds with the rising tide of religious extremism in Alexandria. Her brutal murder in 415 symbolizes the growing religious and political tensions of the time and marks the decline of Alexandria as a center of learning. Hypatia's legacy continues to inspire scholars, artists, and thinkers today. Her life serves as a reminder of the value of knowledge and the dangers of intolerance.